how this whole idea came about. Our president, Jackie Jenkins Scott, is very generous about offering dinners at her house for any occasion. It looks as though she just loves to find an occasion to invite the faculty and a whole bunch of other friends to her house. And so on one of those occasions, some of us in this room, I think, Dr. Mara, I believe, and Lauren, Dr. Davis, and maybe Mr. Hope were there, and we started talking about this idea of all the work that people do in Africa and New England, and how much we have been involved ourselves, and how many people we know who are doing a lot of things. And so we talked about the idea of maybe what we should do is talk about getting together and seeing how we might link and form some kind of network that's going to be useful, some kind of information bank or some kind of institute even, where people who are interested in finding folks who are involved in various areas of the continent and so on, and other places in the diaspora for sure, but in the world also, might be able to link with someone who has had some experience. The president also has a policy of making us work before we eat. The food is always very good, but she gives us a job assignment. That is, we have a question to ask or we have some kind of task. So I think that when we go into the dining room to eat, we have that on our minds. And perhaps this is one of the reasons that we were inclined to talk about this idea from the living room right into the dining room. So we want to talk about this morning paving the way to global understanding in West Africa and the West African and New England connections. But we also have another workshop that's going to be looking at the Caribbean and Latin America and the connections, New England connections in that area. So Wheelock College is taking this initiative to bring together all of these fantastic people who've been involved for a number of years with NGOs, with universities and colleges, with other associations in the area and out of the area who have been working diligently to bring about change in civil society, in development at various levels in countries that are on the route to development. And that's what we have with us this morning. Some of these people who have been pioneers and who are well placed to talk about what they've been doing. We want to underscore today and in the future, and this is the first one in the series of roundtables. We hope to have 2 every year, one in the fall and one in the spring, so that it's not just an occasion for people to get together and have a good time and listen to each other and then walk away. We want to really have a record of what we're doing here, make it available to other people who are interested in trying to do international work, and have, in other words, your time and the time and effort that you put into coming here to be a part of this be beneficial in many, many ways. So we have some outstanding people with us this morning. We have Mr. Alger Hope Jr., Dr. Willa Johnson, Dr. Jemadari Kamara, and Dr. Jennifer Yanko. And we're going to go in this order with Mr. Hope first, and then Dr. Yanko, and then Dr. Johnson and Dr. Kamara. So I'll introduce each person one at a time, and I'm going to ask that we wait until after everyone is finished to ask questions. I think that might work. So I'm hoping that you'll write your questions down as each person talks, and then we can have a question and answer session at the end. I'm going to ask that each person not talk more than 15 minutes so that we can have adequate time to respond to questions and so on. And I think that we'll keep time. But before that, I want to introduce to you Dr. Linda Davis, who is the director of the Wheelock College's International Center for Education, Leadership, and Innovation. Dr. Davis. I want to introduce to you our Vice President, Dr. Julie Woolman, who is here this morning with us. Other people who've been very helpful with pulling this program together are Lauren Bowman, who is the Associate Director of the Center, and the whole Center team, who are all here this morning, by the way, and some students, some of our students who are here. So thanks to all of you for putting this together, for allowing us to have an opportunity to talk with each other this morning and to bring together some outstanding people. Mr. Hope has spent much of his professional life in the nonprofit social service and education sectors. He served as director of the Teaching Africa program at Primary Source, a local nonprofit education resource center in Waltham. Mr. Hope designed and developed the Teaching Africa program using a series of professional development seminars that taught African history and culture to K through 12 teachers from school districts in the Greater Boston area in the higher education field. Mr. Hope taught African and African American history in the Africana Studies Department at the University of Massachusetts, Boston. At present, Mr. Hope is the faculty supervisor for Bentley University's Ghana Global Social Responsibility Internship Program, and also Executive Vice President of Hope for Africa, an international NGO, in consultative status with the United Nations Social and Economic Council. So we're going to ask Mr. Hope to come forward and give us a presentation at this time. Thank you very much. Could you help me welcome Mr. Hope?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It is a great pleasure to be here this morning and to participate in this program that I think has such great relevance to today. As we look at the global village and how small the world has become, I think it's crucial that universities begin to very much engage in the kind of discussions that we're having, but not only that, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit, but begin to, in fact, have the curriculums reflect this move toward internationalization or globalization that we're experiencing. This is a global village, and we are engaged with people from different cultures all across the world. You know, we can't do anything unless it's having an impact someplace else, very significantly. And today, because of the level of communication that we have, we see it and feel it much quicker than in the days of Columbus and other folks when it wasn't happening as much. Globalization has always been there. It's just the fact that the speed at which information travels right now enables us to feel the impact of it and understand what's happening. I'm going to talk to you a little bit this morning about the work I'm doing at Bentley University. And what we're focusing on is creating a model for sustainable development, capacity building, and global social responsibility through service and experiential learning. Okay. And so what I'll do is spend a little time with some of the model components, talk about our experience on the ground, i.e. lessons learned, and take questions at the appropriate time. One of the things that most people do when they hear folks talk about models is they cringe and say, oh wow, yet another model for what? And I'd like to start out by saying this model that we are developing is a work in progress, which is being realistically tweaked based on our experiences and feedback from our partners on the ground. Fortunately, I think Bentley took the right approach. It was not a 2-week wonder in its approach, and that is a 2-week wonder is that you spend 2 weeks someplace and you come back and you're the expert. Fortunately, Bentley spent 4 years working on a base model with the Montfort Trauma Education Center in the village of Trauma in the eastern region of Ghana. And what they initially did was work with the Trauma Education Center on this pilot project, which focused on helping the Center for at-risk children to develop a 10-year plan for sustainability.